Good morning, folks, and welcome to Power Negotiating. Today we're going to be talking about something that most people don't even mention, terms. I'm going to say, Reed, what exactly are terms? If I'm looking to buy a $100,000 house, I'm going to have to bring $100,000 in cash to the closing table, right? Well, that is one alternative. That's an all-cash closing, and sellers love that. But let's say that it would cost you money to come up with the cash. Let's say you had to go to a hard money lender, and let's say that they would charge you 6 points. 6 points on 100,000, that's 106,000. And let's say they charge you a high interest rate, and let's say that is that's 12% interest. 12% interest on, let's say it was just 100,000, that'd be $12,000 per year. So at the end of 1 year, you'd have 106,000 plus another 12 would be 118,000. So you've got 18,000 in that first year just in holding cost and the cost of funds. So your actual cost on that, not including the appraisal, not including the survey, not including the lender's insurance, your actual cost on that is going to be 118,000. Let's call it 120,000 just for fun. $20,000 more than the price of the house. So if cash is expensive, what are some other alternatives? Rather than going to a hard money lender, we could have a partner. Let's talk about that. Let's say the partner puts up all the money and that you split the profits. Hey, that's not a bad deal. Okay, let's say that we sell this for $150,000. They put up $100,000. At the end of the year, you sell this and you get $150,000. Let's eliminate all the carrying cost and holding cost and sales cost and everything else. $150,000, so you've got $50,000 profit. You split that with them, and so you've got $25,000 profit. They've got $25,000 profit. What was your cost of funds? $25,000. That's even more expensive than going through a hard money lender. Who is the best lender to work with? Who has the most to gain by selling you that house? Could it be the seller? Could you ask the seller, can I buy the property subject to the existing financing? What exactly does that mean? That means that I'm going to buy the property, and instead of getting a brand new mortgage, I'm just going to take over the mortgage that you currently have. Wow, that sounds great. What cost do we have? Well, we have to go ahead and record the title work, and we had to pay the doc stamps and intangible tax, but we're talking about a couple $100 rather than thousands and thousands of dollars. Wait a second, Reed. I thought that banks had a due on sale clause. Yes, it is. It's a clause. It's a policy. It's not a law, which means that the banks have the right to enforce that due on sale clause and foreclose on the property. Would they ever do that if you're making the payments in a timely manner? Nope, probably not. Not in this market. What are some other ways we can buy this property? Could we tell the seller, tell you what, I'll go ahead and buy the property subject to, and there's $20,000 difference between what I'm going to be paying you and what the mortgage is. I'm going to buy it for $100,000, and I'm going to be paying. You got an $80,000 first mortgage. So rather than me coming up with $20,000 cash, would you take back a second mortgage, which means that you're going to be making payments to them each month? Sure, we could do that. When do those payments have to start? Whenever you negotiate them to. If you both agree, maybe those payments could start next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. The seller gets their price, and you can determine when those payments will start. Who determines how much those payments will be? You do. You could say, we're going to have this be an interest-only loan, and the interest payments will be $100 a year for the first 5 years. And then they'll start to amortize at a regular rate. You can negotiate on that second mortgage to whatever the seller will agree with. Now you're going to say, Reed, why in the world would the seller agree to do this? Maybe they really have a need to get out of the property. And maybe you really don't want to have negative cash flow, or you don't want to have cash coming out of your pocket. Could you negotiate this in such a way that you had positive cash flow and you had a property that was appreciating and get away from the deal and make money that way? Yes, you could. What about a lease option? I'm going to lease the property with the option to purchase it in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You want to have the longest option period with the seller that you possibly can. And I typically say a minimum of 5 years for a lease option. When I'm putting a tenant buyer in there, I want to have a maximum of 2 years. That gives them time to get their credit cleaned up and get financing for this. And if they can't do it, I get someone else in there. Tell me some more about the lease option. I'm glad you asked. What I always do is I tell them that they're going to, Mr. Seller, how would you like to have it so that you still own the property, but you don't have to pay the taxes, the insurance, or the mortgage, and all the maintenance and repairs would be taken care of? Would that be something that'd be of interest to you? Yeah, great, great. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to control the property through a lease option. Your name is still going to be on the title. You'll still be able to write off your taxes on your income tax returns. You'll still be able to write off your interest expense. But someone else, my tenant buyer, will be taking care of all those payments. They'll be taking care of the repairs. They'll be taking care of the maintenance. You won't have to worry about this. If we did that, how long could we possibly have that lease option for? Well, forever. Great. Why don't we just have it for the end of the length of the mortgage? And the purchase price will, of course, be the mortgage balance. So whatever the mortgage balance is, the declining mortgage balance, that is what the purchase price shall be. And if they agree to that, you now have a cash cow. And the longer you hold it, someone else is making the mortgage payment, someone else is making the taxes, the insurance, someone else is maintaining it. You have it locked in for a price, which is the declining mortgage balance. And every year, the mortgage balance goes down. Every year, hopefully, the value of the property goes up. What happens if, God forbid, the value of the property doesn't go up, and you come to the end of 5 years and you can't purchase the property? It's an option, which means you have the right to purchase it, but you don't have the obligation to purchase it. Let's say that something goes terribly wrong and that you can't, for some reason, you can't rent the property out. I want you to, in every lease option that you do, I want you to have the right to terminate the lease option with a 30-day written notice on the anniversary date of the lease option. So if we do the lease option on January 1st, 2010, every year on the anniversary date, as long as I give them 30 days notice, I can get out of the lease option. Now if I get a non-refundable option fee up front for my tenant buyers, and they're in there, even if they bail, if I got $5,000 or $10,000 for a non-refundable option fee, and they bail, can I still go ahead and, am I in pretty good shape if my worst case scenario is I only have to hold this for a year, and I have a non-refundable option fee up front? Yeah.